And we are live. Welcome to greeneconomy.tv. I'm your host, Byron McDonald, and facilitator. Today on our show, we have Pontsho Moletsane, CEO of Yellow Beast Pty Ltd, and also the project leader of Nosetsa. He will be going in conversation with Positive Magazine publisher Gordon Brown. But before I go ahead, as I say each week, greeneconomy.tv provides insights and intelligence on all sustainability related matters. Hey, Gordon. Hey, Ponso. Welcome to the show.
No, what a pleasure! What a pleasure! You know that the music from that video has just already put me in a great mood. So what a pleasure, and welcome to the show. It's great to have you.
So, so just so just to start off, I just wanted to ask you, how have you both been doing, Ponso and Gordon? Mhm. Okay, brilliant, brilliant. We see you're hiding your picture slightly, but it's fine. It's fine. We're gonna go ahead with the show. Maybe you want to hide it away from us, but the sound quality is quite great on that side. So as we do each week, I give the show over to Gordon. Gordon ask all the relevant questions. So Gordon, if you'll take over, I'll just be in the background and hop in and out or so. Or maybe I'll stay during the show because it's quite interesting.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and absolutely, Byron, and it's great to have Poncho here with us from what is an innovative clean tech company, Yellow Beast Pty Ltd. And in fact, Poncho, I'd like to just start there before we even talk about the Nosetsa project. There's such an interesting chat we want to have about that, and obviously bring in the agriculture and the water issues and how the work that you're doing is improving on that. But before we do that, just give us a bit of brief background about Yellow Beast Pty Ltd. It's an interesting name. I understand it's a clean tech company. It's all about innovation. Give us a quick propeller view about the company, how it formed, and a little bit about your own background, if you wouldn't mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
ended up bagging first prize. So now we're here.
Oh, what a pleasure. Well, congratulations for that. And it's great to hear about these, firstly, this connection between young minds and young ideas and, big corporations and their projects, and those two things coming together to actually give rise to a real tangible business, and in this case, a real tangible project. So just a few thoughts from my side. I mean, we talk about the green economy here, and a lot of the time people think of the green economy in terms of wind turbines on the side of the hill, or recycling and sort of EVs, electric vehicles. These are sort of obvious icons, or it's the iconography of green economy. But I just want to emphasize, that some of the most important work being done in the green economy relates to agriculture and to food security. And in particular, the biggest challenges we face in the agricultural sector, and it's especially true in South Africa, is the fact that we are actually a water scarce country. And yet, in spite of that, we do also have meaningful commercial agriculture, and of course that's clearly evident in the area where that you come from, there in the Free State, where we have these vast commercial farms that are producing vast amounts of crops. But of course, these are challenging times, and in fact, in order to deal with these issues of yields and crop delivery and so forth, there's also a lot of bad practices and a lot of high impact practices that come through. But anyway, I'm just mentioning this from a point of view of some background. I'm very curious. Tell us about this project, your Nosetsa project. Tell us what that word means. Give us some background. Give us a little bit of a big picture context in terms of what is the challenge, what is the problem that this project actually seeks to address.
Okay, so to switch a word that means irrigate. We thought it befitting to have a tech that we would, and I'll explain how the tech works later on. But we had identified a problem in that, just as when you want your lawn to look nice, but sometimes you would put on the tap and the hose would be running on for too long and water starts ponding and running down the street, that type of thing, even in your own backyard. Similarly, in industry, you find the same thing, where in terms of the big picture, not only are we experiencing climate change in pretty much globally, but how it translates as a challenge in South Africa is that it results in water shortages and challenges of access for one or multiple stakeholders. And on top of that, when we look at irrigation itself, it accounts for 2/3 of the available water that is made available to pretty much all users. And this includes ecology, humans, industry, and you name it. And unfortunately, 2/3 of water that is used is actually our bellies and the backs that carry the clothes on our backs, because you have to plant things like cotton to make t-shirts, pairs of jeans, even linen, where we rest our heads at night. But also our favorite foods, burgers, alcoholic beverages, soft drinks, and the like. At some point in the value chain during cultivation, they take up quite a bit of water. So effectively, it is us as people who do that. So it has to be ourselves as people who say, let's come up with solutions. And now our research in Yellow Beast Pty Ltd has pointed to the fact that not only are we experiencing the climate change, it results in water shortages. And on top of that, much of the water that is allocated goes towards irrigation. And the same irrigation translates to us, you and I, and pretty much the audience and everyone else, consuming most of the things that we consume that do take up water at some point in time in the value chain.
So it's very interesting. And I mean, while you're speaking there, I'm also thinking about, this constant lament when it comes to, global crises or global programs. These are such big problems, and the question we ask ourselves is, what am I supposed to do? What can I possibly do to solve this global problem, And I want to throw that back over to you, Pontsho, and say, you're a young scientist, a young engineer with ideas. how did you answer that question? I mean, you've come up with a solution. I mean, that's pretty bold stuff. You're going to come and you're going to propose a solution that's going to solve this massive problem. Tell us what the genesis of your idea was. Tell us how this emerged, and in essence, what is the solution that you guys are proposing?
So I'd like to start off by mentioning something that Sir David Attenborough, a renowned, we call it environmentalist, said. It's not, conserving the planet is not about saving the planet or plants or animals. It's actually about saving ourselves as humans, because no doubt, if the world comes to a point where it it can't sustain our presence, it'll reset and start over, and it can do that without humans. So, looking back at the problem in its big picture form, when you narrow it down where irrigation water is used, I mean, one of the things that we've come to identify is that, as we pointed out in our discussion, that unsustainable practices would sometimes occur. And when they do, you'd find water ponding, let's say, on a crop circle where a center pivot rotates frequently. And what that translates to is water that ponds can trap even the wheels of the same center pivot, and it breaks it. So if you're a farmer, you've already invested money into getting that tech on your ground to irrigate for you. So effectively, that becomes a capital loss. So that makes the problem much worse on you as a farmer. So it becomes an economic loss. And not only that, you get some revenue losses where if the water is in excess, it becomes breeding ground for pests that forage on your crop, which is like a revenue loss. Ultimately, there's other things as well, like, for instance, the chemicals that we put in the water to either control the same pest or to stimulate plant growth, they can trickle down beyond the effective root depth. And what that means is, as they move through the soil profile, they degrade the soil itself. And not only that,
would collect in the same groundwater sources, which would in future require remediation. And those are examples of
virtual economic losses, because the soil would require treatment later on, and the water would also require treatment later on. So it's costs you don't feel now, but you feel later at a later stage. So they become virtual. And to curb this, Nosetsa is introduced, which has capabilities of not only being remote to be able to manage your water there, but it's also solar powered, so you don't even have to worry about its power requirements whilst it's in use in the field. And it speaks to the issue of water control, because it uses then the specific tech that it has to control when water should be dispensed on the field and when it shouldn't, based on specific environmental conditions that are favorable for water conservation.
Right. So, I mean, so you've actually looked at this situation, as you were saying, and what you were describing now is a situation. It's not just about water scarcity. What it is, it's about practices that actually exacerbate the problem. And so, thanks for that. And so, your solution, in essence, provides a remote monitoring opportunity for the farmer, for the operator, which then enables them to radically improve their water efficiency in relation to the irrigation. Do I understand it correctly?
100%. It's not like we have on a commercial farm, for example, 100 people with buckets of water spilling water on a crop circle. No, already the process is mechanized. We're just adding a brain in the form of a digital water management device to sort of do that remotely. As you say, radicalize the water management capabilities of the current technology, because Nosetsa is able to integrate with those, not overhauling what already is in place. In fact, it is taking it a step further to say, it's already mechanized, let's put digital technology to it so that it can function with some remoteness, because it is already technology that you find operating in remote areas anyway.
Right. And so it actually where you are with this venture is that you've developed it, you've brought it to market, and perhaps correct me if I'm wrong there, but really at this point, one of your key objectives actually is to attract. Is it investment? Is it partners? I mean, what do you need now to take this project to the next level?
Okay. So what we need now, we are inviting collaborators into a demonstration phase. And when you participate in the demonstration phase, one of the benefits of participating in that is a discounted rate on the technology itself, because it's still fresh, new from the oven, and it's freshly baked from the oven. So the goal is to partner with collaborators so that we can establish a market presence that is bigger than currently is. We have fortunately managed to develop one prototype that we're testing out with practitioners in the Carlton area. And one of the things we'd love to do in the next year to attract investment is to have it feature on several more farms so that it can be a market attractive device.
So right now you're literally looking for farmers who are willing to come on board as early adopters and to adopt the system at so let's say a beta price, if you like, and help you to fine tune the product and to demonstrate the capability of the product. Obviously, they would benefit because they're coming at a lower than market price, and they're getting to work with you, share data, and so forth, and help you to develop the project to the next level. Is that correct?
Yes, that is pretty much the goal at this stage. Remember, we have a minimum viable product that can be installed in a farm as it is. So it actually does give you the capabilities that the remoteness, for example, the control on the water management, it is able to give you those. So what then is needed is for setting up, for example, just retrofitting it with current or existing or in-place equipment, and then it goes on from there, or autonomously out in the field with little input or disturbance from itself or the user.
Great. And who's your target market for this? I mean, is it? I mean, I'm based in the Western Cape, for example. Are you interested in talking to, for instance, the wine growers, or is this? I mean, you mentioned Gauteng. Is it better suited for some crops or some types of agriculture than others? I mean, who's the target market for you, really?
So at the moment, we're not looking at capping the crop type because you don't want to limit yourself without knowing how far you can go. And the Gauteng decision is a logistical choice because of the current resources we've managed to amass through support partners like the Water Research Commission and Technology Innovation Agency. However, one of the things that we pride ourselves in is, like I mentioned earlier, a first prize win in the South African Brewery Kickstart initiative, which was in 2016. That being a program of the enterprise development leg of a large corporation is enough indication that it can be bettered on to try out with commercial farmers in pretty much any part of the country to see how far the data on this product can be collected to improve it. Secondly, apart from actual farmers, the next goal is to take in the IP and use the current business model that we've validated, which is partnering with technology transfer offices at universities and technology manager offices, to then have these organizations, TTOs, evangelize the technology to irrigation equipment companies. And the reason for that is simple. they are actually the direct sellers to large commercial farmers, so it makes the uptake a lot easier. So with the IP then licensed to such a company, it then makes it easy for the project, or rather quicker for the product to reach such large organizations. And that we're looking at perhaps doing fluently in the next year. So say 2021 is allocated to raising funds to complete the research and development leg, which we're on now, including market research and business development, so that 2022 to 2026, then the IP licensing business model can be validated.
Right. And I mean, are these the steps that you need to take in order to make this a sustainable business in terms of rolling it out into the marketplace?
So we think that these are sustainable steps. I mean, currently, like I mentioned, we've gathered support for product development from the Technology Innovation Agency, who pretty much provided the funding through a technology transfer office that is housed at the Vaal University of Technology. And not only that, the Department of Science and Innovation, in collaboration with Water Research Commission, have a program called WADA, which is Water Technology and Demonstration Program. And they have helped us with funding that can help us put the prototype that we have into market, so that we can validate the market dynamics. So it makes sense to say that in the coming year, that will be for testing, ironing out the bugs with the IP in real time, so that as that is running, we knock on doors of investors so that they can help us boost the funding that we have on the project, so that we can conclude the R&D and then issue out an IP licensing model, because we have from 2022 going onwards. We think that makes a lot of sense, because a whole year is actually quite adequate to even conclude things like intellectual property protection on the current recipe of the product as itself. And then also setting up for a global sales and marketing strategy.
All right, so you're going. I'm pleased to hear you're going global. I see you. There's no lack of ambition. What a pleasure. So I wanted to ask you. I mean, what's the competition like for these types of solutions? I mean, is it quite a competitive area, or are you really way out in front from a point of view of innovating?
I won't lie. The competition is quite stiff. There are already companies in the space of let's say, automating irrigation as it stands. Some are global in appeal and already have a presence here in South Africa. For example, they would have technology that measures the growth stage of a plant and adjusts water use accordingly. You already have players like that in the space. You already have players that use unmanned aerial vehicles to monitor crop health. Some are local, some are global. Some companies measure soil health and then inform the user of the quality of soil thereof. Some companies also make use of satellite imagery, and then they adjust and they inform the farmer as to when they can apply water, or how they've been rather using their water. And where Nosetsa stands out is with satellites, for example, there's always a week long lag in terms of how fast information goes from where the observation is made to the user itself. With unmanned aerial vehicles, for example, in terms of crop health, there is a clear advantage there. But in terms of water conservation and demand management, you still need eyes on the ground. And now Nosetsa takes this a step further to say, not only are you using that, you're also having that information regulate machines autonomously so that water flow can be controlled independent of a user or an operator. And in other instances where water is managed using equipment that measures growth of crops, for example, this still that's pretty much our strongest competition, if anything. And there's still potential, if anything, for some kinds of collaboration, perhaps where one technology has oversight, the other technology can supplement. At least that's pretty much where we look at how we look at the space where the players and the game itself are playing.
Yeah, I mean, that's I was going to ask you that. I mean, there's an expression called belt and braces. Basically, it means that you have two systems that overlap with each other, and perhaps maybe there's some overlaps, but there's also dovetailing, and the two technologies or approaches or multiple approaches can really yield the ultimate or best result. But is it feasible commercially, financially for farmers to contemplate multiple approaches that ultimately serve to optimize their water use?
So, like I said, the departure point for Nosetsa and the case for it is the fact that there are underlying costs in as far as water overuse goes that pretty much go unchecked or even unresolved. And when those costs are mitigated, there's a saving that one can anticipate there. And that's pretty much where the validation is needed in the coming year and is to be used as a selling point to say that because of the benefit where you get to conserve water, which you pay for, then there is an incentive to apply this technology on your operations so that you can reduce then that cost which has been going on for some time unnoticed or untended to.
Right. And so tell me, have you, I mean, to what extent have you, I mean, obviously you've got websites, see there's resources, you've got Facebook pages and so forth. I mean, to what extent have you put together a strategy or a plan with the who are curious and interested in getting involved, can tap into and can get a quick sense of what it is you need and what role they can possibly play, and possibly just in answering that, just give us some insight into what level of support your project has enjoyed, and from what sources currently.
Okay, that's a great question. So one of our advisors is a renowned investor and agribusiness expert. And one of the things that they actually are quite knowledgeable on is the translation of technology into business solutions, and that's part of the support that the project has enjoyed so far. Not only that, organizations like I mentioned, through competitions that give out cash grants, like South African Breweries Pty Ltd initiative, have injected cash into assisting with the development of the project itself. State-backed institutions like the Water Research Commission as well as Technology Innovation Agency have invested some resources into the project. To top that up, the project has also shared its message in agri platforms like the African Agri Council and is a member thereof. And the reason for that is that puts word out to the relevant market, which is in agriculture, to say, here's agri-tech solutions that actually help advance the green agenda in agriculture so that we can have responsible production and consumption, which is one of the SDGs, and also water conservation, which is a tenet of the SDG on water access for everyone. So we believe that these supports that has come from these organizations speak quite well to where the project can go. Because as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we are doing now is inviting partners to collaborate in the further development of a commercial solution through early adoption of the solution itself. And this is irrespective of geographic location, because one of the things that lockdown is allowing us to do is have this conversation. So if there's an interest in having a physical product in the field, then it's just a matter of making that arrangement from having had this as a pickup point.
What a pleasure. And so, look, Pontsho, that pretty much concludes the questions that I've had from my side. In conclusion, from your side, perhaps you could just share with us just a summary of the vision, what you'd like to see. I mean, you've obviously been talking about that already, but just give us a brief summary of where you see this business maybe in 1 year's time, 5 years' time, 10 years' time. And talk about some of the big picture advantages that could ultimately be achieved should this opportunity ultimately achieve scale. And mention some of your collaborators. Talk to us about the audience that you've engaged with. And on that, once you've shared those thoughts with us, we'll hand the show back to Byron to wrap up. So enough from my side. It's been great chatting with you. I wish you every luck and every bit good fortune with your project. And you keep us posted here at greeneconomy.tv and greeneconomy.media. The minute things come through, you've got some good news to share, send it across to us, and we'll make sure we publish it to as many people as we possibly can.
No, hundreds. Just to conclude, the market opportunity is quite there. I mean, if you look at just the land that is currently under irrigation in South Africa, it's about 190 to 200,000 hectares. But the potential that can be developed for irrigation is close to 2 million, about 1.8 million hectares. When we look at the continent of Africa, we're looking at about 30 million hectares or so. If we're focusing on just land that has the potential to be developed for irrigation. So I think that it makes sense that given that currently Nosetsa as a project is at what's called minimum viable product phase, concluding the R&D phase in the next 6 to 12 months will probably put us at a commercial solution within a year. And we're hoping that sound market entry through partnerships with original equipment manufacturers would be possible in 18 months or so from now, so that can allow for some growth. And because already companies that are original equipment manufacturers are aggressively expanding into BRICS territory, and they're also making active acquisitions of startups and projects like Nosetsa, it will be possible to go not only public in about 30 months, but also continental and global in about 36 to 42 months. So just to conclude on that note, we think that there is potential. And as I mentioned earlier in our conversation, Gordon, it's that we are building a global company. One of the things that we believe in is local is lacquer, but we have to think outside the box as well, because one of the things that the water situation highlights to us as individuals and the collective is that water is a necessity for pretty much everyone and everything on the planet. That being said, if we can mitigate how much of it is used, where it is used the most, I think we're a step ahead. That's one of the calls that the Nosetsa project is making, so that there can be support from multiple stakeholders. I think we can do this.
Brilliant. What an insightful interview. I was just sitting back and listening. That's why I just wanted to be part of it. I just wanted to be in this interview and not skip anything. There's a lot of research and development behind it, and good luck to you guys also with that. And I like the word globally, and there's a lot of patience also that comes with it. A lot of people don't like the long-term thinking, but I like that behind you. So thank you guys for being on the platform. I'm just going to conclude everything and wrap up the show and say goodbye to our viewers. And yeah, so see you guys, and thank you again for being part of this platform and this conversation.
Awesome. It was a pleasure.
Thank you, Byron. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to speak to your audience, and I look forward to future conversations.
Definitely. See you guys. Tata.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So So that's the show, guys. Brilliant, brilliant show. A very, very insightful. As Gordon and Ponto said, also has a lot of research and development behind that, and long-term thinking. Yeah, as you said, local is liquor, but you have to think out of the box. You have to get go globally because everything is getting affected globally. Look at what we're doing now. We're reaching out to everyone. Something happens at the fix at just spiral and affects everybody. So if you want to spiral something good, you have to affect it globally. So without me rambling on, I'm not a genius as these guys, as they doing and affecting the world. I'm just here and learning each day or so and giving you this insight and information. But let me wrap it up and say greeneconomy.tv provides insights and intelligence on all sustainability related matters. Goodbye.